This video is going to be a brief tutorial on your Level 2 Learner Achievement Portfolio, otherwise known as your LAP. Now this is going to be found in your Level 2 manual after page 319, and it is essentially your portfolio work in which you need to complete for Level 2, and we're just going to understand precisely what it is that needs to be completed and how it needs to be completed correctly, and also what the assessment criteria is. So this is your first page, and we're going to move on. And after that you should have your contents page. Now this is your contents page of your LAP and not your manual itself. So you can always refer to this LAP contents page and totally understand precisely what it is you need to find. If we're talking about the program card, for example, we can go to page 26 in your LAP, and that's what your program card is if your tutor does refer to it as that. Further on, we're going to find our active IQ level 2 certificate in fitness instructing, and this is our assessment plan and record of achievement. Now, not being pedantic, but everything needs to be filled out, and if there's any blank space within the whole learner achievement portfolio, then technically the learner achievement portfolio is not completed, and you might hand it in on assessment day thinking that it's fine, wash your hands of it, and then you could be called back in a few weeks' time because something simple like a signature is missing or a date is missing. So I'm just going to take you step by step just to make sure we totally understand what needs to be filled out and make sure it is done systematically and within a certain framework. Now the first thing we need to put here is our centre name, which is going to be FFUK or FocusFitnessUK. If you want to go into a bit more detail than that, you can talk about your specific venue. So for example, if you happen to be at the flagship venue, which is David Lloyd's Enfield, then you could put FFUK David Lloyd's Enfield. You might also want to put your tutor name, your lead tutor name. So let's just look at the assessment criteria here. Going across in these rows, we have our individual aspects here for what you're going to be assessed on. Now the first thing is anatomy and physiology for exercise, and that's going to be assessed in the sense of a theory paper. Now the theory paper at level 2 is going to be based on 50 questions, and you need to get 70% correct. It's an externally set multiple choice question paper, so it's 50 questions of A, B, C or D. You get asked a question on a question sheet, you have an answer sheet, and all you do is cross in the specific letter you think the answer is. The planned assessment date the tutor is going to take through with you on ideally the first day. So during your course introduction, when you talk about all of the assessment procedure, you're going to go through the specific dates of when these exams are going to be taken. When it comes to the assessor writing down your score here, for the theory papers, it won't be sufficient just to write pass or refer. Whatever the result or the outcome, you must also put the percentage as well of the score. So if it was referral because it was 64%, then you must write refer 64%. If it was a pass with 90%, you must write pass and the 90%. So you have to give your specific result as well. In this column here, the assessor must sign this with initials and date it as well. And an internal verifier may sample this work to make sure that the standards within the company are of a particular standard across the board. So an internal verifier may check this as a sample, and if necessary, we'll have to put the initials here as well. The next part is know how to support clients who take part in exercise and physical activity. And this is going to be done based around a worksheet. Now the worksheet is in the LAP, which we're going to look into very soon. It's a written assessment method. Again, the planned assessment date will be discussed with your tutor, and it's either going to be a pass or a fail, this one. So it's not a theory paper with a specific percentage. Again, assessor signature or initials and date, and the IV initials if sampled. So that's going to be exactly the same across the board here. The next part, which is also know how to support clients who take part in exercise and physical activity and planning gym-based exercise. That's going to be evidenced via a client interview, which is also written and in the LAP. And again, the same procedure in terms of the assessment date, pass or refer, assessor signature or initials and date, and the IV initials if sampled will be here. Next is health, safety and welfare in a fitness environment, and that is part of a worksheet as well in the LAP, a written worksheet, and all of the other preceding procedures need to be taken into account as well. The next one, which is a theory paper 2, called Principles of Exercise, Fitness and Health, is also a multiple choice paper where 70% is the accepted pass rate, and again it is ABCD multiple choice paper. Finally, we've got planning gym-based exercise, and that's going to be evidenced via a worksheet or a professional discussion, which we'll talk about later on, a PARQ, which is a pre-activity readiness questionnaire, a program card, which is kind of like an overview of a single session that you're going to take a client through, and you're also going to create 4 session plans. So they're going to be specific exercises from the program card, and they're going to be written out in a bit more detail along with necessary adaptations and alternatives. Going on to page 4 in your LAP is instructing gym-based exercise. This is going to be your practical based, and you have your formative observed session. Now, try to think of this as almost like a mock. What's going to happen is they're going to take a certain sample from your program card and ask you to deliver those sessions, or I beg your pardon, deliver those exercises in a gym environment, and the assessor is going to have a look at that and see whether you are capable of actually taking a client through a specific session. The summative observed session will be the other exercises which weren't done in the formative, and that will be your final practical exam. The session self-evaluation here is going to be a written self-evaluation that you're going to complete after you finish your summative observed session. And it's a reflective self-evaluation, so you talk about how the session went, what could be improved, how was the rapport with your client, etc. The declaration, so the learner's agreement, I agree to be assessed according to the assessment plan, and I'm happy that any additional support I require has been discussed and a separate plan put in place for this. I declare that all the evidence listed in the assessment plan that will be produced for this portfolio will be my own unaided work. So you must put your name, you must put your signature, so name here, signature here, and the date that was done. The assessor must also put the agreement. I have discussed the planned assessments with the learner, and any additional support required has been planned and recorded separately. Again, the assessor will put their name, they'll put the signature, and they will also put the date as well. Record of achievement declaration. Assessor wants agreement. I declare that all the learner evidence listed in the assessment plan has been assessed and meets the learning outcomes, assessment criteria, and evidence requirements for the qualification. They'll put their name, signature, date, and if applicable, you may have a second or third assessor look at this work, and they will also have to put their name, signature, date. Finally, the internal verifiers agreement, or the IV agreement. If they have a look at this work, they will need to put the name, signature, and date as well.